So last week we had a war between two Cowboys defenders in the podcast world. Dallas Cowboys safety Malik Hooker took to a podcast to complain about Micah Parsons' podcasting career. Now, this has been quietly, subtly complained about by members of the organization, some other people who are kind of noticing that Micah was maybe spending a little too much time talking and using his available time to have fun in the podcast world rather than doing other things. So Malik Hooker basically called him out on it. I'll be interested to see how this is handled in a few weeks when the Cowboys convene in Southern California for training camp. Clarence, I think you and I both knew something had been brewing on this for a while. What do you think prompted the Malik Hooker to be the one to come out and say, hey, man, number 11, I love you. You're great. You got to knock this off.
I mean, first of all, when you're not winning, people complain. I was going to say the B word, but people there's being complaining. Okay, that's
which word is that, Clarence?
Being complaining. Female dog and complaining. Okay, that's what they do. That's what they do. Bill Parcells had a thing in the locker room. Losers being complaining. They huddle in corners and they being complaining.
So okay, we know that.
Huh?
But we know that.
I mean, that's what happens, and so that's part of the whole dichotomy.
Is Malik Hooker wrong?
He's not wrong, but Micah's not wrong. Nothing Micah's doing is taking away from his play on the field.
It's not criminal.
But when you don't win,
teammate.
Let me finish.
You call him a Clarence. You said it here. I think you wrote it too. If you didn't write it, I think you maybe did. Yeah. You called him out on it, and you were
let me finish.
Because you talk about leadership or you're a great player, that doesn't mean you are leading, and that there's a hole there for him to fill up. And maybe it's not in his DNA, but you were right to say that because I think you were right.
So what I'm saying is as you're gonna let me finish here.
Well, I don't know. We'll see.
It's all about perception, and so when you lose, perception matters. When the Cowboys, perception matters. And when you're not winning, everything gets nitpicked. Everything you do gets nitpicked. How do you, go to, everything, everything with that, everything you do on the field and off the field when you're not winning is nitpicked. And so you open yourself up to nitpicking when you do things outside the game that has nothing to do with winning and losing or with your team. And so listen, you can't question Micah on the field. Okay. Micah plays hard. He's at the top level. Everybody played at the level of Micah, winning awards and finishing top 3 in MVP, Defensive Player of the Year balloting. They'd probably be better off. But the bottom line is you are that, and you do talk about this. You bring this stuff on yourself because you say, I'm going to lock in. Are we going to lock in? So we're going to lock in, and we're going to change the culture, and we're going to lock in and do this. And then you go off somewhere else. Okay? And as a defender, I don't care if you're a pass rusher, but when you run defense, and that's what Malik was talking about, when you run defense horrendous and you're really not a good run defender because people run at you, that's some of your work. That's some of your work.
Clarence, let me ask you about you because you brought up a really good point. This guy's great. Micah's great. How often because we have seen times, especially there are certain cornerbacks on this team who got targeted. We saw last year a couple times people were targeting number 11 in the run game. I'm going to put you on the spot here. And if you don't know it, that's fine. But I'm going to put you on the spot. If a team ran the ball 25 times, how many times do you think they deliberately said, go with that guy because he can't handle it?
I don't know because the middle was janky too. Okay.
Yeah, right.
The middle was the jankiest. Okay.
Was it the worst?
Yes. Go back to the Green Bay game. They ran right up the middle.
But in fairness, they were all.
You have no middle. You have no linebackers. You got small linebackers. They targeted the linebackers more than anything. I will tell you this though, just from a football standpoint.
Yeah.
Always run at the pass rush.
Yep.
The best pass rush, you want to weaken his legs. You want to stop it from pass rushing. So you always run it. I don't care if it's going to Marcus Blair. That you're going to run at the pass rusher.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yep. So that's anyway, you want to run at the pass rusher. But the thing about it is it's funny because Micah came back at him. Do you remember when Micah came back at him?
Yeah.
He said, it's interesting. You're going to criticize me on a podcast.
He's right.
You never said this to my face.
Look, both guys are right in this one.
Okay,
I'm like,
you don't criticize me on the podcast,
Right.
but you just say this to my face.
Right.
Okay, you know what'll
So
make
the
you laugh and
question
make
is,
you
like,
cry. What'll make
what-
you laugh and make you cry. Okay.
What do you think? How do you think this plays out?
Well, I mean,
No,
this,
I mean,
this is the
fine.
first time a teammate has publicly called out Micah.
Right, but
So
I
this
mean,
this
and
has
they're
to
gonna-
be this
but
has
how
to
do you
be
think
managed.
Really, but how do you think really this will play itself out? It doesn't matter in training camp. Those guys are pros. They're not going to do anything until week 1 of the regular season. My question to you is, what has to happen for this to become a problem? Because I think this could become a problem narrative if this defense and this team gets off to a slow start.
Well, I mean, that's Zimmer's
possible.
job. I don't think it will become a problem because you know what? You don't have to like each other to work together. They play. You don't really have to like each other. That's
I know. You and I work with tons of guys who hated you.
Yeah, it's a misnomer, and it sounds good. This chemistry thing, it's funny because Terry Bradshaw and Chuck Noll hated each other. They won 4 Super Bowls.
I know.
Okay,
Isn't that
so this
crazy?
whole the coach and the quarterback. No, they don't. Not if you just play, win, do your job, do your job. You do it. If everybody does their job, it doesn't matter what you like the guy next to you.
Well, it also helps if you're Terry Bradshaw to be surrounded by like 11 other Hall of Famers.
Exactly, but
That
do your
really
job.
helps. Yeah, but no, you're right.
He did his
It's
job.
a fair point. And you can say that a lot. I mean, I remember Larry Bird talking about that. I mean, it does help if guys like each other. It does. But at the end of it, what really matters, and I remember talking to baseball players who play with Barry Bonds. Like, no one really liked Barry. They all hated Jeff Kent because Jeff Kent hated everybody. He just was an antisocial guy. But everybody in that room knew, I can't be here and we can't do what we want to do without that guy. And as long as he shows up and he's producing, I can deal with it. And I think ultimately that's what this comes down to, don't you?
There's no question about that. I mean, look at Lawrence Taylor. You can't tell me everybody, Carl Banks, agreed with Lawrence Taylor's lifestyle and things he did outside the game. And I listen, and we love Mike Irvin, and Troy Aikman loves Mike Irvin. You cannot tell me Troy Aikman loved the things, the distractions that Michael Irvin brought to that locker room and to that team. But he respected the hell out of him and knew when it was time to play, Michael Irvin was going to be on that field and give his all. And that's all you can ask. And so for the Cowboys, just win, baby. All this stuff goes away. All the being complaining, all the female dogging complaining goes away. Just win, baby.
So bring me another 12-5 with the first round wild card playoff loss.